Avast, ye scurvy dogs. It be I, the OGGM, coming to ya. Waterlogged. From a rainy sight B here on a Friday morning. It's raining. It is the 10th day of March, 2023. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. And yes, it is raining again, which puts me in a mood for some piracy, which of course puts me in the mood to take a look. That's horrible. I'm not doing that anymore. What's going on with Project Black Flag from our friends over at Kobold Press? They have posted an update, sort of. I don't know why those of us on the mailing list didn't get it in the mail or an update to the playtest that they were supposed to be doing every month, but they did update this on the website. I do not know when this was updated. But it looks relatively new, so possibly this week. It looks like they've changed a few things since the last time I looked at. Unlike Peso, who have not updated ORC since January 12th, though I have been told that there has been some updates on the Discord, so I have to go over to the Peso ORC Discord and see, because the last time I checked the Peso ORC Discord, nothing. Other than we're waiting for the lawyers, which is completely understandable. All right, so let's see what has changed. What is Project? Is that a good? Yeah. What is Project Black Flag? Project Black Flag is a code name for a larger series of efforts by Kobold Press to update, streamline, and publish a core fantasy RPG based upon 5e Dungeons and Dragons SRD 5.1, as opposed to whatever it was we were going to make before. But then when Wizards of the Coast announced the new SRD, we decided to switch it to this. Less work for us, I guess. Now, don't get too angry at them. All my silliness aside, they were very honest from day one that they were going to fulfill all their 5e stuff first, and that we wouldn't see any Project Black Flag stuff for at least a year. So the fact that they are holding on to, well, we're going to make 5e adjacent third-party stuff for as long as we can, yeah, we can't blame them for that because they said they were going to. The fact that anything new going forward is now going to be 5e adjacent and not its own thing. I guess, they're trying to get the best of both worlds. So I can't be too angry for them. They've always been a 5e adjacent, 5e third party creator. Everything that they have made since 2000 and whatever, 8, I think, has always been somehow connected to 5e in one form or another. So wanting to continue to support the pre-existing product as well as continue to extend off of those pre-existing products and be able to constantly keep those pre-existing products in press in one form or another. So it makes sense that their system would be 5e-ish. So you can have a 5e rule set on your shelf, but not feel too bad because it's made by Kobold Press as opposed to Wizards of the Coast. And it's going to be only 2 books instead of the 37, plus, of course, all the product that they're going to make for it. So, yes. It includes the new core fantasy roleplay rule released and will be available in an open, perpetual, and irrevocable license, and also will include 2 core books coming to Kickstarter somewhere in 2023. It will maintain its core compatibility with the 5e products it's already made. And going forward, how is this going to be different than any of the other 5e stuff? How is this going to be different than any of the 5e adjacent products that are coming out? How is this going to be different than, say, Shadow Dark or what Matt Colville's making, or Level Up 5e, the original 5e adjacent rule set that everybody seems to have forgotten about except for me? But they've been doing, their stuff for a while now. How is this going to be different than Troll Lord Games, Castles and Crusades, and whatever the other 5e adjacent stuff? How is this going to be Kobold Press's version of 5e and not just a rehash of the SRD? What are core fantasy role-playing rules? Core fantasy role-playing rules will be the baseline set of rules, sort of like our own SRD. It's the groundwork that Kobold Press is laying down for our own sake and a gift to the role-playing community. As we've said elsewhere, the SRD that Wizards of the Coast released into Creative Commons is incomplete. If Kobold Press or you or anybody else wants to publish game material based upon the SRD, there's more work that needs to be done. character creation, a more complete subclass list, more monsters, and other additions. So we're doing the work, and we're calling it the core fantasy role-playing rules. Well, that's not a surprise. The SRD is a baseline, and then the Creative Commons in the SRD allows you to build off that. It's the same as the original SRD. The original SRD only had the basic rules for cleric and one subclass, but it always was like, okay, well, here's the building blocks. Now go. Do something with it. If you want to see our player's handbook, this is what we did with it. But you don't have to do what we did. You could do something else. All we've done is present you with the Legos and an example. So that's nothing new. With the core fantasy role-playing rules, you won't be playing games that are Kobold Press ultimately produces as our flagship RPG. Wait, what? When the rules are complete, they won't be the role-playing games that Kobold Press ultimately produces as our flagship. But when we release that flagship RPG, it will use the core fantasy role play as core. You can use CFR2. When you do put the CFR logo on the product where the rules appear so your customers know what they're getting, we'll include the logo on our products as well. But why publish core fantasy roleplay rules? Some ask why bother to publish 5e-centric core rules. The SRD is out there in the Creative Commons, and it can be reprinted by anyone. What more could we possibly want or need? Glad you asked. The core fantasy role play system is built on the bones of 5e, but there are 3 primary reasons to go further. Okay, I don't understand this sentences. When the rules are complete, they won't be the role-playing game that Kobold Press ultimately produces as our flagship RPG. So Project Black Flag is not a new game. You're still going to be making a new game using this at some point in time, but Project Black Flag is going to be the middleman between 5e and your eventual this thing, even though this thing is based upon 5e. Okay, well, I get this. Well, the 5e core rule books are going away. No, well, they're going to be digitally available, but the physical copies, yes, they won't be making any more physical copies of the 5e core rule books. So you'll either have to use digital versions or find a new one. They want to keep the spirit of physical books alive by having their own core rule books for those who prefer face-to-face and don't want to pay a monthly subscription fee. We want to keep the 5e vibrant and strong. Your investment in 5e will be rewarded. So here's a great way for you to have the 5e books without having the Wizards of the Coast 5e books. So you won't feel embarrassed, or, when somebody comes in and goes, oh, you still got the player's handbook after you said you were getting rid of it. You can go, no, this is the Kobold Press Project Black Flag that you are all excited about. It is completely different than the 5e player's handbook, other than the fact that it's exactly the same. The SRD is incomplete. The SRD is a fantastic baseline, but there are key elements that are missing. It only includes 1 feat and 1 cleric domain. A few monsters are conspicuously absent. Oh, God, it's a caffeine day. Character generation has quirks and flaws. The power curve of the challenge and encounter building tools needs improvement. Well, yeah, after looking at the example characters from Honor Amongst Thieves, yes, we know that it needs to be improvement. And it's time to put a little Dragonfire back in the combat engine. Kobold Press has been turning out 5e since Tomb of the Beast started in 2015, and we've got ideas to fill in the gaps. These ideas provide fun new mechanical options, delightful weirdness, and frankly, remarkable flavor that would never come from a Fortune 500 company. Instead, we stay close to the community with extensive playtests of our books to keep Strange and Eldoreth in our game. And speaking of community, 3, Project Black Flag is the greatest open design effort that Kobold Press has ever attempted. The vital part of open design has always been the community. Our existence is literally not possible without community fans, content creators, other publishers, the old guard, freeform new kids, and everything in between. We're all in this together. Yes! Design for Project Black Flag is held by senior game designers and a trusted team, but they do not work alone. We count on the tabletop fans to keep the spirits and substance alive, far beyond any wizard's ivory tower, part of the culture we forge. And when it's done, Project Flag will remain free from any single corporate enterprise, even ours, in the commons and deep in the dungeons. So it's not a new game? No. It's them taking the foundation of the SRD and building upon it. We're doing 5e, but changing stuff that needs to be changed. And we're trying to do it in a way that keeps current 5e books and games useful. That means when we say the mystic words backwards compatible, they actually are backwards compatible. When we change things, when we do, we will include clear instructions to help you keep using existing 5e resources that might no longer be a perfect fit. And we'll try hard to do it in a way that won't make players or GMs want to cry in frustration. We want to use a more straightforward language, reduce complexity, and organize information in a more user-friendly way than the 5e core books currently do. Well, that's true. The 5e core books are impossible to navigate. They want to make the rules easier to read. They want to provide tools to reduce the DM boredom. They want to rebalance a whole lot of existing elements, especially feats. Thank you. They want to provide opportunities for PCs to make meaningful choices at higher levels. What does that mean? Kingdom building? Who knows? Want to make spellcasting cooler? Okay, so what? You're going to adopt the spellcasting rules from DCC? Keep combat interesting. And there's going to be 2 books, a GM book and a player book. These will be available on our Kickstarter in May 2023. So Project Black Flag is going to be this, but it is not going to be the final game that they will eventually build. They're still going to be releasing a flagship RPG that's going to use Project Black Flag, I think. I don't know. At least admitting that they are still want to keep the community part of the game design, as opposed to Wizards of the Coast, who's keeping community dangling with little tidbits of information and has literally told us that they have created a whole division who's in charge of what news the community receives and in what form the community receives it. A whole department of the government whose job it is to make sure you receive the chunks of information in the way they want you to receive it. Ministry of Information, Ministry of Truth. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before, Wizards of the Coast. Your cultural sensitivity, creative content communication department / Ministry of Truth. So at least they're trying to do what Wizards of the Coast is not trying to do. They take several not so subtle jabs at Wizards of the Coast in this. And so it looks like what they're doing is, hey, you know what Level Up 5e did a couple years ago and Pathfinder did? We're doing the same thing. It's 5.1.5. It's our own take on 5, but it's still 5. It's not a completely new role-playing game. But then we never said it was going to be a completely new role-playing game. So take that what it means. Am I excited about this? Will I kickstart it? Maybe. I don't know. I need to see more than the original, the one playtest we've seen, because the one playtest we've seen so far was just, well, this already looks like stuff I have. So why am I paying you money? I literally just cut and paste 5e rules here, guys. So yeah, I need to see more before I decide to give you my money. So you've got 2 months to convince everybody that it's worth the time and energy. And right now, it just doesn't feel like it. It's just, hey, a simplified version of 5th edition. So what? Shadow Dark? Level Up 5e? Pathfinder? I mean, just, what are you trying to do, guys? Just more of the same, but slightly different? What do you mean by crazy combat? What do you mean by cool magic? How are you going to make this different enough from current 5e to encourage me to play this over current 5e? Nope, that's it. At least we have an update, unlike Paizo, who have not updated anything on their website, but supposedly have updated things on the Discord, which we will go and check out. So if you appreciate this combat, let me know. If you don't appreciate this combat, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my YouTube yet, please take a moment to subscribe. Help me hit 1,500 subs by the end of the month. Well, the rate I'm going, I'd settle for 1,300 subs. If you want to check out more information on Project Black Flag, link down below to the site. And that's about it for today. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please support the OG GM, Greasy Smith and Wicked Inn by heading on over to Big Geek Emporium and buying my amazing merch. Yeah. Busy working on episode 9, issue 9, which should be hopefully out by the end of the month. But you can get issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, and 8 all on Big Geek Emporium. Till next time, stay safe because it's raining. See ya.